Welcome to Damage Control with Larry Moskowitz, where we tackle the challenges and triumphs of navigating life's unexpected twist. I'm your host, Larry Moskowitz. Join me as we engage in conversations with experts and professionals from various industries. We explore how they bring clarity, support, and solutions to those facing unexpected setbacks. Together, we discover the power of resilience, resourcefulness, and rebuilding. This is Damage Control with Larry Moskowitz. Hey, today my guest is David Benn, an attorney here in South Florida who handles worker compensation claims. Thank you, David, for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So, David, for those people who are not familiar with what a workers' compensation lawyer does, why don't you tell them basically what you do every day?
Sure. So on a very basic level, many Floridians unfortunately go to work every day, and sometimes they have an accident and they get injured. And when you're injured in the course and scope of employment in the state of Florida, your primary remedy is to file a workers' comp claim against your employer. And oftentimes, just because the way the laws are written and how they're geared so heavily in favor of the insurance carrier, people who get hurt at work will run into various issues. They could range from not being able to see a medical doctor right away, not being paid disability benefits, not receiving medications. I mean, the list goes on and on. So people who have those issues will come out and seek our help. And what we do is we get involved, make sure we address whatever the issue is with the insurance company directly. And if we have to, engage in litigation, which unfortunately is very often.
Now, I've had some people call me over the years. We don't handle workers' comp claims, but I've had employees call me and ask me about the fact that they may have been injured on the job. And their first concern is always whether or not the employer will fire them if they file a workers' comp claim. Is there any law or any guidance there that I can tell my clients regarding whether or not they should be worried about possibly being terminated from their employer?
Yeah, so what I tell every potential client or any client of mine is that we cannot go to your employer, stand on their desk and tell them, you cannot fire so-and-so. They can fire you if they want to. The question really becomes, is it retaliatory? We have a statute under Florida law called 44205, which prohibits the discrimination, the termination of an employee just for the fact that they reported or filed a workers' comp claim. So you are protected under the law if that adverse action is taken against you. But what we inform every client is, unfortunately, we cannot prevent them from being a bad actor. We can't stand in your shoes and make them go away and say, no, you can't fire me. I filed a workers' comp claim. The law doesn't protect you to that extent. However, if you are fired because you filed a workers' comp claim, you would have a separate civil cause of action that would typically be brought by an employment attorney against your employer.
And typically, I know that I don't want to hold you to this, but typically, is an employee going to be fired because they got injured on the job?
So it does not happen very often, so especially with big box, more sophisticated employers that have been doing this a long time. Sometimes you will see a smaller employer retaliate. And in those circumstances, you have to refer. We don't handle those kinds of claims. We refer them out. Some workers' comp attorneys will actually handle them themselves. And it's something that can be addressed through civil litigation. But it doesn't happen as often as people think, but it certainly does happen.
But wouldn't you agree with me that an employer who has bought workers' comp insurance, who cares about their employees, if an employee gets hurt, don't you think an employer would want to see the employee get the proper medical treatment from the insurance carrier that they've paid premiums to?
Yeah, so this is where sometimes you see a conflict between employers and their insurance carriers. Most employers want their employees to get better. They want them to get back to work. They want them to be healthy. They want them to be productive. The insurance industry, however, is concerned mostly about their bottom line. And they have, in my opinion, a very short-sighted viewpoint. And they're primarily looking at how much money am I spending today? And that's why they send our clients, for the most part, to doctors that they know are very conservative, doctors that see workers' comp patients routinely because they're relying on that insurance company to keep feeding them patients over and over and over again. So sometimes there is a conflict between what an employer wants and what their insurance carrier wants. And typically when that happens, employers that are intelligent enough will cancel their policy with that insurer and go with a different carrier.
Now, in the line of work that we handle in our personal injury practice, one of the issues that we'll review right off the bat is whether or not the person that wants to retain us had any liability or was at fault at all in causing their own accident or injury. My understanding is that that's not the case in workers' comp, correct?
Correct. Workers' compensation is a no-fault system. So if you're injured due to your own negligence, unless you were intentionally trying to injure yourself or injure somebody else, you're eligible to receive benefits.
Gotcha. So what should someone do if they've been injured on the job? Should they immediately call someone like yourself, a workers' compensation lawyer? Should they speak to their employer first? What would be the first thing that they would do after they sustained an injury?
Yeah, so this might be a shocking statement from a workers' comp lawyer, but not every person injured at work needs a lawyer per se. There's many, many, many claims that are handled correctly administratively. The person gets hurt, they go see a good doctor, they get better, they get paid disability, and they go back to work, and that's the end of the story. So the first thing I would tell somebody who gets hurt at work is, number one, report it to your employer. Your employer is supposed to report it to their insurance carrier within 7 days. And yeah, I would say give it a week or two, make sure they send you to a doctor, and you'll find out very soon whether they're taking care of you, meaning are they going to pay you disability if you're not able to return back to work.
So what are the benefits that are associated with a workers' compensation claim on behalf of the employee? What could they expect as to the compensation or the benefits that they would receive?
Sure. So number one, you get full medical coverage. They're supposed to provide you with 100% cost at their expense medical care with medical providers that you need. First, it'll typically start off either with like an emergency room or a primary care doctor, and then if specialty care is required, they'll refer you to a specialist. Additionally, they have to pay you disability for any period of time that you're unable to return to work, even if you're on what's called like a light duty status, meaning you have a restriction but you can work. If your employer can't accommodate that, for example, many construction companies don't have light duty work available, they have to pay you while you remain out of work.
So I have a little war story, and I want to know how this person should have handled this situation. I had a client many years ago, an elderly woman, I think she was in her mid-60s or even early 70s, who was a waitress, a server. And she was working for one of the big hotels down here, and they were putting carpet down. The way I got into the case was that I was suing the third party. We'll get to that in a second. But they were putting carpet down. Another company was in the hotel putting carpet down, and she didn't see the carpet, and she fell over the carpet and severely fractured her wrist and her arm, requiring surgery. The reason I had the case is because I thought that there was some liability as to the carpet company, and that was who I was looking at. But what disturbed me was the workers' compensation adjuster, before my client could even go to the hospital, demanded that they go to a clinic to get a blood test as to whether or not this elderly woman was on drugs at the time of the incident. And I was flabbergasted, to be honest with you. Her wrist was literally hanging off her arm. What should an employee have done in that circumstance?
So it depends on various factors. There are some employers that are under the workers' comp statute considered drug-free workplaces. That means they have a whole protocol that they have to follow. They have to drug test you before you're hired. They have to have a written policy in place, and there's various other requirements. It's actually very difficult to comply with the law. But if they are compliant with the law and an employee willfully refuses to obtain a drug test, then theoretically they could deny the claim. However, in that circumstance where somebody clearly needs emergency care, I would instruct my client, if it's an emergency, which that sounds like an emergency to me, you go to the ER. And then, you know what? Once you're discharged from the ER, you can go get your drug test.
Well, that's exactly what we did, and fortunately for me, the attorney on the other side was a friend of mine, and that was never raised in the lawsuit that I brought forward on behalf of my client against the actual carpet company. And a lot of times I will get clients who don't understand that when they're at work, if there's actually an accident caused by someone that is not employed by their employer, that they might have another claim. So let's discuss for a minute, For instance, if I was a truck driver and I got rear-ended by someone at a red light, let's discuss a little bit about how maybe two different types of scenarios would play out together. And if you could, would you just describe to me what happens in your practice when you have that situation?
Yeah, so this happens all the time. In fact, I spoke to a new client yesterday that has two separate causes of action in addition to the workers' comp case. So oftentimes people get hurt at work. Oftentimes it's a motor vehicle accident where a third party is at fault. You can still pursue a negligence claim against that third party and maintain your workers' compensation claim. It is not one or the other. And this happens all the time. Now, typically for us, it's typically the personal injury lawyer who has the third-party case referring us the comp case. But sometimes we speak to clients who didn't even know they had that as an option, and that gives us a wonderful opportunity to pay back our referral sources and say, hey, we have this potential third-party claim against another driver for you, and they check it out, and if it's viable, they accept the case.
So let's talk about you for a minute, David Benn.
Let's do it.
Where'd you grow up? What do you like to do?
So I grew up in a place called Lower Merion, which is right outside of Philadelphia. I went to college at Boston University, came back to Philadelphia for law school. I graduated from Rutgers Camden, which is right over the bridge from Philadelphia. And then when I graduated law school, I spent a weekend down here visiting a friend. I don't remember the exact circumstances, but I'm like, what am I doing in Philadelphia? It's beautiful here. The girls are beautiful. I don't need to stay in Philadelphia. So I came down here. I took the Florida bar, and it just so happened, because I had no connections in South Florida. I didn't have any family here, really that many friends here at the time. And the first job I got was working for a workers' comp firm, a small firm in Fort Lauderdale. And I just stayed in the business. I spent some years working on the insurance defense side, like 3 or 4, and then worked for another plaintiff's firm in Miami for a couple of years. And we started what is now workinjuryrights.com about 10 years ago.
So how has it helped you that you worked for the other side, the evil side, we'll call it, the dark side?
Yeah, so they're all not evil. I mean, I don't think every claims adjuster is a bad person. I don't think every defense lawyer is out there trying to hurt your case or hurt your client. The reality is, we're in an adversarial system. Being an insurance defense attorney for that brief period of time really helped me understand how that industry works. And at the end of the day, for them, these decisions are all based on money. And it's not personal. It's not personal to you. It's not personal to your client. And I have to explain to my clients all the time, it's not because they don't like you. They just don't like giving you money. So that gave me kind of the foundation to, from there, really learn how to become like a trial lawyer. Because I wouldn't say I was really a trial lawyer until I was probably about 4 or 5 years in, when I really started doing a lot of extensive litigation. So I don't think it's a bad idea to spend a couple years on that side, even if you're like committed to being a plaintiff's lawyer long term, because I think it really does, it gives you just a good foundation.
And are you married?
I am married.
And how long have you been practicing law?
I've been practicing for, I think over 16 years now.
Children?
I have 2 stepkids, 2 stepdaughters. One is 14, one is 12.
Well, I have 2 daughters, so we have a lot to talk about off camera. All righty. So what does the family like to do?
So whenever we can, we try to go away on vacation. We recently discovered cruising. Although we had an attorney in our office yesterday who was trying to explain to me all the horrible things that happen on cruise ships and how he's made a whole living off of doing that. But Celebrity Cruise Lines, we've had 2 lovely cruises. We like to travel, hang out. One of our kids is a competitive dancer, so that requires a lot of time and effort on my wife's behalf, always going to dance competitions. She has to go to Nashville in a couple weeks. My wife is also one of my law partners, so we get to share in that. And she's in a band, so she'll perform, and I'll go to the shows.
Your wife's in a band, or your daughter's in a band?
My wife is in a band. She's the lead singer of a band.
How does that work out?
Works out fine. I mean, she's been doing this on and off for I want to say probably 7-8 years.
So this is the first time you've been in my office, so you can imagine that your wife probably would love coming in here and seeing all the music stuff that is filled in this office. What kind of music does she like?
She's like a big rock pop person. They play a lot of contemporary stuff, but she sings they do a lot of classic rock tunes. It looks like you're a Bruce guy.
Yes, Bruce Springsteen. long story there, but the short version is I went to a summer camp in Pennsylvania.
What camp?
Pocono Highlands, where the owner of the camp was Lou Weinberg, his mom and Lou, and his first cousin is Max, the drummer. And when I got up there, a lot of Philly kids, a lot of New Jersey kids, never heard of Bruce Springsteen. I was 10, 11 years old, thought the guy was terrible, didn't understand any of it. And then one day, Max came up in his convertible with his 8 tracks doing the rock star thing. And I was a converted Bruce Springsteen fan, brought it back to all my little friends here in South Florida, and been following his music ever since. So I am a big Bruce fan, but I love all kinds of music. Just got back from New Orleans, spent a whole bunch of time there listening to all those bands, and I really have an eclectic understanding and love of all types of music.
Yeah, I'm a big music fan as well. The Bruce thing, I get, but I don't fully get. Like, I've never been to a Bruce show. So
well, that's because you're from Philly.
But I love seeing live music. I mean, I get to see it all the time with my wife's band, and I enjoy it for sure.
So let's talk about how it is to work with your significant other, your wife, and how does that work? When you come home, do you separate work life, or is it 24/7 for David? What's your wife's first name?
Stacy.
And Stacy.
So it's evolved as our role in the firm changed, and we kind of became more leaders and doing a lot more management and ownership things. Our roles shifted. In the beginning, we had a kind of a difficult time because she had always worked in the insurance defense industry, and I had spent years representing injured workers. And when we came together and we're handling cases, and this is at the very beginning of our law firm, when I want to say it was like every file was ride or die. Like, we needed to make money, we needed to make it now. And we would have a lot of conflict between the two of us, honestly, because I think she was looking at things from maybe a defense perspective. I was looking at things from a injured worker's perspective. But she's really she's really done a tremendous job turning herself into a really great claimants lawyer, which I think when you spend so much time on one side, that would be like taking somebody who has 20 years of experience only representing injured workers and saying, we want you now to be a defense lawyer, we want you to be a good job. I mean, I think that'd be really hard. But she's done a tremendous job. She now is in charge of our client satisfaction, our customer relations, and that's a big emphasis of our law firm, our relationship with the clients, how we foster it, how we maintain it, even after the case is closed. And she's done a tremendous job. Our client referrals have tripled under her watch.
That's a great segue into that. So talk to me a little bit about how you go about that at your law firm. How do you keep the clients happy, keep them informed, any technology you're using, Zoom, some of the things that we use here at our office to keep the clients informed as to the progress of their cases, et cetera.
So this is also something that really evolved over time. I used to think, and maybe it was just kind of like this egocentric viewpoint, that you should be happy because I'm your lawyer. I really thought that. I'm like, you could have some schlock lawyer who doesn't know what they're doing, who sits on cases and just basically sells them for whatever he can get or settles them for whatever he can get. And I always thought, like, you should be happy that you have a good lawyer. But the reality is, the clients don't know if you're good or average or below average. They don't have a frame of reference. They haven't been most likely been represented in other workers' comp cases by somebody else. So we had this issue where for a period of years, I didn't think we were like really giving our clients the best possible experience. So we hired a consulting agency several years back, and to help us scale the business. And one of the primary focuses was, how do we make this experience as good as we possibly can for these clients that are going through a horrible. Getting hurt at work sucks. Getting hurt at work in Florida sucks more.
Why is that?
Because we have some of the worst laws in the country. We have some of the most conservative laws in the country. They say Florida, in terms of benefits, might be in the bottom 3 of the entire nation. And that's a horrible experience to just be in the workers' comp system. I mean, you could speak to 9 out of 10 of my clients and they'll all tell you, like, I would not want to have a workers' comp claim again. It's not fun. I mean, that's why our firm exists. If it was easy and you could just get through it without any assistance, you wouldn't need a lawyer.
So I would imagine it'd be difficult to explain to a client that it's not my lawyering that's causing this type of process to go south. It is the law that we're up against and the aggressive nature of the defense of these claims. Correct?
I've seen this from multiple sides. In workers' compensation in Florida, you see lawyers get terminated more often, I am assuming, than many other practice areas. And the reason you see that is because the lawyers, it doesn't matter how wonderful you are, and we have some really tremendous lawyers in this practice area, you don't control 90% of what happens. I don't pick your doctor except in very limited circumstances. I don't mail out your check for disability. So the first person the client is going to blame is their lawyer, and I understand it. So we do everything in our power to really make them as comfortable as we possibly can, to show them that we value their business. To me, that's really important. Our clients don't pay us anything up front. They could go anywhere, but they chose us. And that's important to me. And we try to show them that appreciation from the very beginning all the way till the end of the case. And I was talking to a lawyer, I think in your industry not too long ago, about how much money we spend on, client merchandise or swag. He could not believe, and this is somebody that probably has a $20 or $30 million law firm, couldn't believe that we were spending that kind of money. I said, well, it pays for itself 3 or 4 or 5 times because people know when they're appreciated. Like, when your business is being appreciated, whether it's going to the dry cleaner or going to a restaurant or going anywhere. So that's what we want people to feel.
Gotcha. Is there any technology that you guys are deploying to help the clients understand where they're at and maybe understand a little more about the process? I always tell the people in my office that no matter what you do, most people in the public, I don't care what educational background they have, where they've come from, they don't know what lawyers do. And I remember getting out of law school and not realizing what we actually do for a living until we were actually doing it. So if us lawyers don't know what we're doing when we first start practicing law and actually what we do, how could the public know that? And we're talking about, I remember representing doctors who have been involved in the legal system, but when it was their own case that did not involve maybe an accident or something in the personal injury sphere, that they didn't have any clue to what we actually did. And I found that kind of surprising. And I always tell my office staff when we have a client that's complaining about whatever delay or whatever has happened, that understand that they don't understand what we do. And even when we give them access to their files, which they have in our office, they don't really know what they're looking at either. So it is a difficult task for us lawyers to explain to the public actually what we're doing for them. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to education and communication. I love that you guys have that portal on your website where a client can log in and see what's going on in their file. That to me is tremendous. I'm sure it cuts down on a lot of call volume saying what's going on. They can just look for themselves. And most of our clients in 2023 know how to log onto a computer or can look from their phone. So that is just a perfect example of something you're doing that's great communication. We don't have that yet. We're inquiring with a company that provides a platform that does that integrates with our case management software. But we integrated a new software about a year ago. It's called FileVine. It allows us to text our clients right from their case. The clients can text information in real time to their case to a specific phone number, and if they want to take a picture of a document, which they do oftentimes do, take a picture of their medical record to just give us an updated status. So that has really been effective or been great for us in terms of communication. Education, I mean, we're trying to, we shot a series of YouTube videos that walks our client through the process where we actually send the YouTube videos to our clients. So like, for example, if you're a client in my office and you have a deposition 48 hours before my deposition, you're going to get sent a YouTube video was either me or one of my partners that's like an instructional manual on how to prepare for a deposition, and we shot them in English and Spanish.
Do your clients ever comment to you as to how helpful those have been for them? And
I haven't heard like necessarily, yes, this is so helpful, but on the other side of it, I haven't heard in a very long time, I didn't feel prepared for my deposition. Plus, our lawyers always have to contact them at least 24 hours before to prepare them. But I haven't heard the negative. And I'm more concerned about the negative. I think the positive in time comes, but you want to focus on the areas of your practice where clients are not having a positive experience. Do they feel like they're not getting educated enough? Do they feel like they're not getting the attention enough? So we've like implemented a lot of protocols. Every client of my office, every single client that has an open file with us gets contacted every 3 weeks. Doesn't matter who their legal assistant is, doesn't matter what's going on, whether the case is in litigation or out of litigation, because workers' comp cases kind of go in and out of litigation for years. And that's been very effective for us. We have a higher call volume because of it, but our clients don't feel like they're being ignored. And to me, that's the most important thing. That would be my pet peeve. If I hired a lawyer, whether it was on a contingency fee contract or I was paying you a retainer, and you weren't returning my phone calls, and I didn't have somebody I can communicate regularly about my case, I'd be pissed off. So I don't want my clients to ever feel that way.
It seems like you have a great process, and you've put these things in place, and it seems to be working very well for you. I noticed while I was in your office that you have a lot of office staff that are bilingual. I think that's important in South Florida. You want to discuss a little bit about how your practice has morphed into a multicultural, multi-bilingual type practice?
So I think that is reflective of just the client base in the state of Florida. We have clients that don't speak any English. We have clients that speak some English. We have clients that only speak Spanish. We have clients that only speak Creole. So it's important that we have people that can service our clients at every single level of my law firm. So we have receptionists our receptionists speak both Creole. We have 2 receptionists. One speaks Creole, one speaks Spanish. We have a legal assistant who speaks Creole fluently. I think we have maybe more than one. And every other legal assistant in my office is bilingual. In fact, if you do not speak a second language, we will not hire you.
Interesting.
I feel bad saying that because I don't speak a second language well. I can barely speak Spanish just from like working in Miami for 4 years. But it's just disqualifying for us because if you can only speak one language in my office and you're a legal assistant, then you're very limited in the cases you can work on.
Well, I think that's a great reflection of the melting pot that we have in South Florida that continues to grow. I remember when I began my practice in 1993 and I went over to the West Coast, I could not find any investigators that spoke Spanish. I could not find any doctors. I could not find any support staff. So I did the smart thing. I brought them all over from here and invaded the Southwest coast with my bilingual office staff and my providers, my doctors, my investigators. And I thought that was, very smart on my part. My clients loved it. I will tell you that one of the most rewarding aspects of handling claims and representing first-time immigrants, I can't begin to tell you how many times I've gotten a thank you because they've come from countries that do not have these type of rights. They cherish America. They cherish the rights that they have. And many times they said, you're the first person that's ever fought for us like you have fought for us. And that's really rewarding after doing this for 33 years to get those kind of compliments from people that you've been doing this our whole lives, and it's what we do. And sometimes we forget how appreciated we are by fighting for people that may have never had anyone fight for them like we do. So anyone speaking Spanish out there, give us a call. We have actually, we talked about this off air about some of the things we've done in our office, and we've gone virtual, and we actually have hired paralegals. We have a paralegal right now. If you call my office, she'll be answering from Guatemala. She's bilingual, and she is a great employee. I think she's an hour or two behind us, so sometimes she's a little tired when we start in the mornings. But that seems to be a trend now that is going through not only the legal community, but all of the different businesses, and the fact that the technology is now giving opportunity for us to be more efficient, more productive, by hiring people that may not be sitting in our office. Do you have any virtual employees at this point?
We have not taken the plunge. I've had probably like 3 or 4 Zoom meetings with different companies about it. I think at some point it is something we probably will have to do, just from a size perspective. And, as we've scaled our business, the labor cost just has dramatically increased since we started scaling. And obviously, the longer employees are with us, the more money they make. They advance within the company, and that's great. I think at some point it does serve a very valuable purpose. It's just a question of, there's people that operate their entire law firm with just virtual assistants. And my concern, I think camaraderie matters. I really do. And my staff, not every single person, of course, but like most of them really, really like each other. And most of them actually hang out with each other socially. It really is like a family atmosphere. And the thing I love about that is that when somebody needs help, they just go to one of their coworkers who's more than willing and able to assist them and say, hey, no, this is how we do this, or this is what you do when this happens. And my only concern is that by bringing on virtual assistants, we could potentially lose some of that. So I don't think it would ever make up the majority of my workforce, not even half the workforce, but I could see there's niches within my company where I'm sure it'd be great to have like a virtual assistant. Like I could probably right now hire somebody from Colombia who could be just my executive PA and just schedule all like the nonsense stuff that I have to deal with every day. And that'd be great. That would take a burden off of some other person in my office. So
I agree. I mean, our culture here, I started as a prosecutor here in Broward County, and I remember day one, our offices were in the courthouse, and, I get up on the floor, and there's literally between 30 and 50 other lawyers who are all in proximity to my age. Some of them have been there 5 years, some of them have been there 5 days, some of them been 5 months, but the fact that I could just walk into the room next to me and say, hey, have you ever dealt with this issue? Have you ever dealt with that issue? So in my particular office, the actual employees that are here, it is mandatory. Our culture is that they need to be here. We have some young interns. We have some young lawyers. And they need to have that interaction, in my humble opinion. But one of the things that we do cherish in reference to technology is my law firm. I handle cases, property damage cases, hurricanes, all over the country. I've spent a year in Mississippi handling the BP oil spill. I've spent a year in Hurricane Sandy in New York. We're currently in Louisiana. I've got cases in Georgia. And in Florida, I can literally handle any case in the state of Florida as a result of the pandemic, what happened during the pandemic with Zoom. Now every hearing that we have, when I used to drive 4 hours for a 10-minute hearing for a client, now I can literally be sitting at my desk working on other clients' matters until I get called. In workers' comp, I would imagine that also your hearings now are all on Zoom.
Yeah, so the pandemic, I don't know about your practice area specifically, it completely revolutionized the workers' comp practice. There is no way. We have a statewide practice. We have cases literally every county in the state. And that is not something we logistically could have done before the pandemic. We couldn't have handled cases in Pensacola or Jacksonville or really in Orlando. It just, the time commitment to have to travel back and forth, it just wouldn't have been logistical. It wouldn't have made sense. Now, first of all, I employ lawyers remotely in Orlando and Tampa, and it's really, our industry was set up very well for it. We were doing video teleconference hearings before it was really a thing in workers' comp, and then once we started adding the Zoom in, there was like no turning back, and it's really curious as to what's going to happen in the future. Is there going to be a movement to get us back in the courthouses? Is there going to be a movement to get us back at live depositions? I certainly hope not. I don't think any lawyers necessarily want that per se, but that would change my practice and the way we run it. And I think now the way we can operate, I mean, you have so many lawyers, and this enabled a lot of lawyers who didn't have necessarily a big book of business, or a lot of lawyers that couldn't afford office space. They can just set up in their home office, hang out their shingle, and they can start with a very small footprint that's not really costing them a lot of money. So I think this has completely changed the practice. I think there's some firms, like I have 30 employees. I don't think I'm going to have 30 people working remotely ever. I hope not, but we'll have to see. But the productivity level definitely has gone way up for the attorneys.
So let's make sure that the people that do watch this understand that it's not only about us. All of our discussion is about how it's better for the client. If your lawyer's not driving 4 hours to go to your 5-minute hearing and sitting at their desk, they're doing a better job for you in their productivity and can work better for you on your actual substance of your case. I think that's the big point here. The point is that we can do it for less and we can be better for you, the client. Now, could you imagine the clients that are paying hourly, if it's a divorce case, if it is a custody issue, if it's a dependency, anything that involves the courthouse where people need access to the courts? The big thing about the American Bar Association and all the associations that we subscribe to is access for people to be able to afford to get the doors of the courthouse open. And all of this technology and all these changes, because it has made it easier for us, it has made it easier for people to be represented. Something that you might have not handled 2 years ago because it just economically wasn't feasible. Now that client gets a lawyer where 2 years ago they wouldn't have had a lawyer. They wouldn't have been able to hire anyone. And now they can find someone, a qualified, good lawyer who's going to do a good job for them because that lawyer can afford to handle their case. I think that's the big point I want everyone to take away, from our discussion, because, the upside of all of that we've been discussing for the last 5 minutes is how it's better for our community, the people that need access to us.
It's better for the entire legal community. I don't think we're ever going to go back. I certainly hope that we don't. But yeah, it is amazing. You could represent somebody now on the West Coast or the Northwest Coast or up north, maybe closer to the Jacksonville area, that maybe you wouldn't have taken that case before. Maybe it just didn't make sense. And now you can assist that person because you don't have to travel back and forth to handle that case.
Just 2 weeks ago, I did a webinar for all the people that are suffering from Hurricane Ian. And we did it right from this desk, and we had 50 people attend. That would have probably cost me several $1,000s to put on. It cost me virtually nothing other than getting the word out to these prospective individuals who had questions, who are 7-8 months into the process, who have not gotten a dime from their insurance carriers, who don't understand the process at all, which many people don't. When we get involved in these catastrophic losses, I would say 95% of the individuals that we wind up representing have never had a prior claim before, don't know the first thing about the Florida laws, don't know anything about how to handle adjusters, how to speak to insurance carriers. And that has been the huge benefit for us, that I can actually handle cases in Panama City, Key West, Florida. I can reach out to people. The 50 people that attended, we weren't looking to sign up every client. We gave them information. I got responses from people that are not our clients today thanking me for the information that I gave them. 20-something years of doing, 33 years of doing this. I have a lot to say. I have a lot of information to give them. And if I can do it from my desk, that's just more information I can give out to more people.
Absolutely.
That's simple.
I think our clients are going to benefit from the cost savings. What I'm interested to see is if the insurance companies start saying to their clients, well, why am I paying you the same hourly rate I used to pay you when you had a 10,000 square foot office? I'm waiting to see if the insurance industry start to try to reduce their rates. I don't know if that'll happen, but it's interesting because they're going to want to pay less. If our clients aren't paying as much for our services theoretically, and we can absorb we don't have to shift those costs onto them. When is the insurance industry going to tell their lawyers, well, maybe we don't need to pay you as much?
Gotcha. Well, David, it was great meeting with you today. I'm sure we're going to spend many years together working on each other's files, sending cases to each other, clients to each other. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
I hope to maybe one day come see your wife sing in a band. I'm all over South Florida listening to live music, and I support live music in South Florida. And please tell her that she's got a new fan out there, and look forward to seeing her.
Let's give her a plug. Hot Mess Rock Band on, I think, Instagram and Facebook.
There you go. Hot Mess. All right. And you can reach you, if someone wants to reach you, how are they going to reach you?
Yeah, the best way to reach us, you go to our website at workinjuryrights.com. You'll see all of our information, our email, our phone number.
And of course, we're Larry Moskowitz, PA, windylaw.com. We represent you.com. We represent injured persons out throughout the state of Florida, as well as property damage claims, catastrophic hurricanes, pipe breaks, you name it, HOAs, condos, et cetera, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you for having me.
You bet. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Damage Control with Larry Moskowitz. I hope our conversation left you inspired and equipped with valuable insights. Remember, life's challenges can be overwhelming, but there's always a path forward. If you find this episode helpful, make sure you subscribe and share it with others. Until next time, stay resilient, stay proactive, and keep seeking the solutions that lead to brighter days. This is Larry Moskowitz signing off from Damage Control.